Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I'm here with
Dawn of the Dead from Nunslaughter. How you doing?
Doing amazing. How could it be bad? We're here at Milwaukee Metal Fest.
A lot of good bands.
Oh my God! So I do a lot of festivals. This is the first time I've done this one because it always conflicts with another. And the only year that I really didn't, I had COVID. So I was super excited to come to this one. And being a total thrash metalhead, this was the one to go to.
You got Death Angel and Violence
and Hyrax
and
Insight and the list goes on. It's fucking killer. And
yeah, absolutely.
Were you here last night? Did you see Josta and Friends?
No, but I watched some of the videos that people posted online. It looked like a good time. We had about a 7-8 hour drive in yesterday from Cleveland, Ohio. So when we got in, everybody was wicked hungry and kind of tired, so we went and we ate some pizza.
Nice.
And then when we went back to the hotel room, we were kind of just everybody's relaxing, and then somebody was like, "God damn it, that thing's going on. We should go." And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I feel I'm too comfortable.
Oh, I hear you, man. But it was cool because on that thrash note, he had the dude from Hyrax come out and who sang "Lesson in Violence."
Oh, well, yeah,
right. And then Dukes came out and sang "Bonded by Blood."
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know he was here. Yeah, very cool.
He's playing in another band here.
Oh,
I forget which one he's.
I didn't know that.
I forgot which one he's in, which sounds fucking horrible. But Exodus is one of my favorite bands ever. I used to I was in LA metal. My dad, he came up to me at 13 years old. I'm from Jersey. He's like, "Pack your bags. We're moving to California in 3 days." That was 1980.
Wow.
And so I caught Metallica's first show ever.
You got the first
Slayer's
generation.
first show ever. And then they ditched us and went up to the Bay Area. So me and my bro would hitchhike up to the Bay Area. And then we'd catch the real metal shows.
Yeah.
Because LA became kind of lame.
Well, that was glam. You kind of took over. And
I saw Stryper open for Slayer. How weird is that?
In LA?
In LA.
Wow.
That's why both Metallica and Slayer left, is because there was nobody they could play with. You either played with the glam bands or not at all.
Yeah.
So they felt right at home going up north.
San Francisco had Possessed, and Testament was happening, and
Dark Angel, Death Angel, and there were so many.
Yeah.
And we might not be standing here today if that didn't happen, because if Metallica didn't go up there, be no Cliff Burton, and no Kirk Hammett in Metallica because he was Exodus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's wild. So, tell us how you got the call from Jamie or whoever to come to this.
So we played Milwaukee Metal Fest, I think either 3 or 4 years ago, and it went over really well. And we're just going about our business. But just recently, we had changed over to a label, Black to Black, kind of a new label on the block, and they got some heavy hitters with Megadeth. You may have heard of that band.
A little bit.
And they got Cro-Mags and The Forbidden, speaking of...
Another great one.
So Mike Gitter, who signed us or helped sign us, he's good friends with Jamie because he signed him to Roadrunner Records many, many years ago. And so they've been friends, and he mentioned, "Hey, I just signed Nunslaughter. Would you be interested in having him on the fest?" And then so he got in touch with our booking agent and whatnot, and here we are.
Here you are.
Yeah, here we are.
Gonna kick some ass here.
I hope so. Yeah. I'm getting tired. I got here at 9:30 a.m.
I have a feeling though. Once you get up on stage,
adrenaline.
You won't be tired.
Yeah.
After you get off stage, you'll be like, "Oh fuck."
Plus, the big thing is going up and down all these stairs.
I know, right?
I should have done training before I.
Oh yeah, my bag here, that thing weighs 50 pounds, and I'm carrying it everywhere.
I see why you want to do these interviews in the basement, because you're like, I'm already down here. Like,
Right?
I don't want to. I should have said, meet me in the upper floor.
Right,
It's
right.
like 7 staircases to get up there.
And I never imagined, because I was never at this venue, and I'm like, holy shit, there's so much here. Most venues don't have like that many stages and places, and
Yeah,
like
and
you could
listen,
get
we got
lost.
bands going on right now, and it's relatively quiet down here, which is nice that it's that. I mean, this has got to be, I don't know when this was built, probably at least 100 years ago. So this is all concrete and heavy beams and stuff like that. So
what was that one moment in life that you knew this is what you had to do?
I don't know if it was one necessarily moment, but it was a gradual progression where I started going to live shows, and my first live show was 84 Ozzy Bark the Moon tour with
Nice.
Motley Crue and Wasted, and I was already a fan of music, heavy metal, and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and whatnot, and obviously Black Sabbath, and following the Madman That Bites Bat and everything. But going to see him live, I was really blown away, and I was a big fan of Motley Crue at that era of Motley Crue, which was Shout at the Devil tour, and so going to that show, I was like this. Just the energy and the excitement that of the crowd, but then what the band gave me, as a kid, just like a lot of adrenaline. So that was probably what started my desire to be more involved in music, and then it kind of just really absorbed my entire life. Like I mean, there's a bunch of '80s movies about kids sitting in a class, math or history, and on their their notebooks,
Peachy folder, on the Peachy folder,
and drawing Slayer and Metallica and and a dozen other logos. And do you still have one?
You mean like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my 80s battle vest.
Yeah, see, I drew a lot, because there was nobody had patches or shit, so you had to draw it on there. Yeah, Slayer.
Exactly. Slayer didn't have a patch, so I did these
Made one.
velvet or felt things. And in LA, they thought I was a gangbanger, and that was my gang name.
Yeah, and the old Exodus logo, that's awesome,
Yep.
man. Yeah.
And Dark Angel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I drew all the shit on here. As you can see, it's been through some wars. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's got blood on it too.
But that's what you did in the 80s, because you didn't have nobody. You couldn't get a hold of a Man of War shirt or whatever, so you had to make one.
Yeah, you just did your thing.
But that was me. I was very, very and drawing it on your notebooks, and had my skateboard and go out and cause havoc and throw rocks at stuff and
there you go.
Listen to metal. That's what I was doing.
I think that's still my life now. In fact, it's funny. I just did Welcome to Rockville recently, and that's at the Daytona International Speedway. So I bring my skateboard with me because I live in South Florida.
Oh,
so I
awesome.
just drive up.
Yeah.
And I asked the person that ran media, I'm like, hey, if I go take my skateboard and ride the wall, will I get my credentials pulled? And I knew the answer because I'm friends with her. She's like, yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay, I'll wait till the end of the festival. I mean, it's funny. We have similar stories, different years. First of all, I'll tell you something you probably didn't know. Shout at the Devil was their original music, Not Too Fast for Love. Shout at the Devil was what they originally played in the clubs before the record labels got to them.
Huh.
So they made them write Too Fast for Love, and then once Motley Crue got big, then they were able to do that album.
Yeah.
And, so 1980, my dad walks up to me, he says, we're moving to California in 3 days. My first club show ever. Was Motley Crue at the Roxy on the Sunset Strip before they had an album.
Yeah, that'd be like a legendary show.
They were horror punk at the time, and they played that Shout at the Devil music, and they were lighting the place on fire trying to bring Satan into the Roxy. I walked out of that show, I'm like, I'm never going to a real concert ever again. And after that, I spent every Friday and Saturday night at either the Troubadour, the Country Club in Reseda, or any of the million other metal clubs on the Strip or in L.A. And Slayer's first show, Metallica's first show, you mentioned Megadeth. Dave Mustaine came up to me. I was 13 years old after playing that first Metallica show and hands me his business card. It said, Metallica, power metal, Dave Mustaine, because thrash didn't exist yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of times people don't realize some of the terminology didn't exist.
No.
You know?
Moshing didn't exist. I think Anthrax made that up.
I think, yeah.
It was originally slam dancing.
Slam dancing, yeah.
You know? And I still call it that, because moshing's like, I call it that too, but I'm like, yeah, but it really, slam dancing makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're running around
into people.
slamming into each other. You know?
Well, you were very much right place, right time. I mean,
unbelievable. You know. I was pissed at my dad, but now I thank him. You know,
because you were. I don't want to go. I don't know anybody out there.
I go to fucking California, you know, and you're from the East Coast. Like, who the fuck wants to go over there?
Mm-hmm.
But you and I wouldn't be sitting here right now if that didn't happen.
No. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And that is the key. Like, you caught a beginning of it too. That it's kind of like an addiction. It just draws you in, this metal, and like there's just something about the therapy of metal and the therapy of the mosh pit. People think the mosh pit is violence. It's not violence. It's fucking therapy.
Yeah.
So I don't get violent on people out in the streets.
Yeah, especially, well, certainly not anymore. I'm not hopping in the pit. But there were many, many shows. And in fact, Sean from Violence, I was telling him, we played a small run with him back in February. It was the first time I actually met him. And I said, this will be the second time I've ever seen Violence. And he said, when was the first? And I says, I think it was 1987 or 1988 in Pittsburgh at City Limits. And he's like, oh, yeah, I remember that show. So I said, you know, don't screw up. I didn't say that. But, you know, and they sounded great. And the band sounds great, too. But it was one of those where that's how long ago. And same with, like, Death Angels playing tonight. And the first time I ever saw them was on Ultraviolence tour, which would have been 86, 87, right around that era. And I was, as a young kid, I was just blown away that they were only like a year or two older than me when they were playing that music. And
exactly.
I was just like, I can't play shit. So I needed it. Well, you know, they were great.
I talked about this with Sean earlier, you know, during an interview, is like, it's so cool nowadays. Like, I bring my kids and my grandkids, and I've put my son in his first mosh pit. I put my grandkids more grandsons in their first mosh pits.
Wow.
And now you go back. Okay, so Metallica and Slayer, they were only a couple years older than me. My dad would have never gone to those shows. My dad always used to say when my friends go, oh, look, it's the Motley Crue. Like, you know, and you also, a teenager at that time, you would have never gone to see a bunch of 60-year-olds play music.
Yeah, true.
So it's so cool now when I see kids out there that they're looking at bands like you or Violence or any of these bands.
They were going crazy for Hyrax.
They were, totally. And I'm like,
that guy's 62 years old.
Fucking cool, man. It's like, you know, that's where we've come that I think is really cool about our community, that it's one big family, and now it includes everybody. It didn't include everybody back then.
No, yeah, that's true.
You know, I was talking about this with Sean too. Like, I liked GBH, Discharge, Circle Jerks, Dead Kennedys. I couldn't go to their shows back then. I was along there. I'd get my ass beat.
I went and I did get my ass beat quite a few times, especially like I went to see Agnostic Front. It was actually on the second record. It was a Cause for Alarm.
That would definitely be an ass beating show.
And and I was just going because I loved the music, you know, and they did a bunch of Victim in Pain stuff, but somebody got a couple of punches in, you know, on my face. And what else? I mean, I saw GBH and Discharge, and this is the 80s as well. I got shoved around quite a bit, but I still had to go to the show. I mean, I wasn't not going to go to the show. So, but all that where I was getting at, or where I was going with it, is all that punk stuff is what I gravitated to as well, if not just as much, if not more, than the metal stuff, because where I was at, the metal scene was really small in Pittsburgh in the mid '80s, but the punk scene was strong, and so
I
a lot
think
of
that's
punk
an
bands.
East Coast thing too, because like, you know, you had the New York hardcore, and like East Coast was big into hardcore and punk, and I think metal came a little later, type of thing, from what I know, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. We're one big happy family now. When, you know, when I was in high school, like the jocks used to pick on, bully, and beat the shit out of us, both punks and metalheads. I always thought, why aren't we banding together? Instead, we're beating the shit out of each other. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But now here we are, and it's just such a mishmash of everything, which I love, and blending of genres. And I think that's so important today, too, because there's so many subgenres and microgenres that it makes it like they do sound the same nowadays, unless you have bands that blend it, like you bring into it punk and metal, and you blend, and it's a unique sound.
Thank you. Yeah,
I think so. Same as everybody else, you know. So, tell us about the new album.
Satanic Chaos Legions. We took. It's been sitting. It's taken about a year and a half from completion to actually get it out. It's coming out June 26th here, and it didn't take as long to write, but the mixing process and reviewing the songs and getting them to where we wanted, that took a little bit of a process. And then, of course, looking for another label, that was another long process. And you know, some people say, you know, the album's already a year and a half old. It still hasn't even come out yet. It's not stale or anything. It's just it took that long for the progression to happen, especially when you sign to a new label. They've got ways of putting out music that, you know, it has to build anticipation for it. So, but our guitar player, who he's been with the band for, it's got to be 13 or 14 years. He went on a tour with us. He was just going to be a guitar player on tour, and we went on tour in Europe. And when we came back, it went over so well that we asked him to join. And
nice.
he's been in the band, and his background is largely punk rock as well. So like Poison Idea, Circle Jerks, and you know, Cramps and Cro-Mags and Dead Kennedys, and so that helps when he's writing a song or constructing a song, because we have that same sensibilities of how the song is supposed to go. And so he wrote most of or a considerable amount, if not most of the new album.
Nice.
And I think he did a fantastic job. He was also on Res of Color, Ripping Death, and helped us work those songs as well. So yeah, so the band is doing well. Yeah.
And you know, I don't call it stale. I have a different viewpoint on that. It's probably a better album that it wasn't rushed and put out there, because I think, tell me if this happened with you, I think as an artist, when it is sitting there like that, then all of a sudden things pop in your head that didn't happen while you're making, like, oh, I should have done this, or oh, this should maybe be this way, because you have the chance to really let the creative juices flow instead of that hamster wheel you're on. Oh, let's put the album out. We got to go to the next gig.
Got to go to the next gig. I completely agree. And what's nice is Noah, he owns his own studio, his own recording studio. So those changes or fixes are
easy,
very easy. You know, quite literally, a lot of them were, I'd call him and say, "Hey, I'm gonna get there about 20 minutes before practice, because I want to change this vocal line, or I don't like where it's placed. We got to fix this." And so I just show up a little bit early, go in, open up the session, you know, change it, or I sing something, or double my vocals, or whatever it was, and then you start practice. So it made it very, very easy.
Yeah, and see, like, I think of something I heard. I think it was James that was talking, Hetfield, and he was like, they didn't get to go in to do the mix for Kill 'Em All. And so after Kill 'Em All was done, he kind of felt like the album was not finished because they didn't have more say to the creative control of it.
Sure.
And they had been playing this music for so long that they should know what they wanted to
What
sound
did it
like.
sound like? Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a big thing for me is, as somebody that was part of that 80s bullshit with the record labels, because I sat backstage and watched them go to certain bands that I was friends with and like, oh, you're going to play your music like this, you're going to dress like this, you're going to do that. My viewpoint is, I have no problem with the business side of it, but let the creatives be the creatives and let the suits be the suits. And you handle what you are the expert at. And I think artists should be the expert at the creativity.
Well, I agree. And one of the things before signing to Black, Mike said to us, he's like, you know, you're going to just keep doing Nunslaughter. Like, we're not looking to change what you do. And I was just like, that sounds good, because you hear back to the horror stories of, well, you guys have, everybody's going to wear a suit now, and you're like, we don't wear suits, and
right?
That's going to be your new look. And you're like, I don't know, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that is the benefit of today in 2026, because you as the artist has a lot more control than back in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, and you could do your own thing, like you said. You have a studio. Like otherwise, you'd have to depend on the record label putting you in their studio and telling you how it should be mixed and everything. And sometimes these suits, they know how to market shit. And I'm a marketing person myself, but that doesn't mean you know how to write a song.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a perfect example of that. I wrote one song, okay?
Do I know it?
No. And I played guitar, I played drums, I sang thrash, I sucked at all three. But what happened is my head engineer, he passed away, but he was a close friend of mine, and he was a musician. And so I went to him with this song. Now, I'm also a published author, so what did I do? I wrote a fucking book, not a song, you know? And I handed it to him, and he's like, what the fuck is this? This ain't a song, this is a book. So he's like, and you'll appreciate this. He's like, can we take this out? And everything he wanted to take out, I'm like, no, that's important.
That's essential.
Important. Yeah, you can't take that out. Finally, I was just like, fuck it, do whatever you want. And then he trimmed it down to a song that was actually awesome. But that's because he was the artist. I was the writer, business person trying to write a fucking song.
Ah, I see, yeah.
You know? Yeah. And that's where I also get that viewpoint. I'm like thinking of other people like me trying to tell somebody like you how to write your song. And I'm like, yeah, no, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
kudos.
very cool.
Anything else you want to share with the listeners that we haven't covered already?
I think, yeah, I guess, because sometimes people they think because it's a new label or that they haven't heard of the band Nunslaughter in particular, they think we're some like a new band. And it sometimes and then the flip side is when you tell them, well, we've been around for about 40 years and we got maybe 200 releases, they think you're full of shit. Because it's like, well, how come I've never heard of you guys? And you know, I've never even seen any of your releases. And so it's something that I think maybe gets glossed over. Because even if a band hits, like, let's say a band's been around for a decade, like 10 years, you know, for some people that just rolls off your tongue and you're like, you have no idea how hard it is to keep a band together for 10 years.
Fucking
you know?
A.
I mean, it's hard, you know. Because you can get disgusted with it and be like, I quit. I don't want to do this anymore. You know, all the other shit that you have to deal with other than just writing and performing music, all the other stuff. And now one of the added fuck yous, as far as I'm concerned, is the social media. Because like I'm not a social media type of person. It just
creates so much more work for an artist.
It's a lot more work.
Oh my God! Now you got to do freaking everything. It was better in the tape trading days.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you know, like a lot of shows that you do, even fests and whatnot, they keep hitting you up like, hey, why don't you do some content? Mention the fest and stuff. And I do want to help. I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it, but it's just like, man, I got other stuff to do, man.
No doubt.
I got
And that shouldn't be your job in essence, because, like, if you want to do it, that's one thing.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But there should be people hired that's their job.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Because that's what they specialize in.
Well, back to the a practice session. We'll get maybe I'll get a couple of inquiries or emails and say, hey, can you do a bumper for this, whatever it is, a radio show or a show that a physical show that we're performing at, and we do our regular practice, and then we kind of like, well, we got time. We can rip it out,
Right.
So, but then there's some days you're like, I don't have any time, guys. Like we did a 3-hour practice, and it's 9:30. I'm beat. I want to go home. My voice is shot. Whatever the case is, and sometimes we don't get to it. But yeah, the social media thing is it's like a gnat just flying around the whole time. Yeah,
I gotta do a lot of it, and I freaking hate it now. I used to not, and now I kind of hate it because it's like, it's a lot of work, a lot of time. And I always talk about on my show about artists. People don't realize what hard work it is. Like, they look at you and they're like, oh man, that dude's got the dream life. In one part, you do. In 99% of the other parts, not so much.
Yeah, because a lot of my friends are like, well, hey, maybe I'll come up in 2 weeks. I'm like, can't do it in 2 weeks. Why not? I got to go to South America for 14 dates or something. Like, man, you're so lucky. And you're like, yeah, it is really cool. It's going to be fun. This is what I'm doing for a living and everything. But then when you're on the road, there's flights and cancellations and lost luggage and flat tires and transportation issues and payment issues and all this. Like, we didn't buy enough shirts. We bought too many shirts. How are we going to get this shit to the next show? All this other minutia. It's not.
Nobody
it's not
ever
sitting.
thinks about
it's
that.
not just you just show up, you do your little thing for 45, 50 minutes, and then they hand you chicks, Coke, and a bunch of money.
That's
and
like
go home.
That's like the set is the bonus.
Yes.
That's not even the meat and potatoes. That's the bonus. That's like the reward for doing all that hard work.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah, because the like I said, whatever your set time is, your 50, 60 minutes up there. A lot of people think like, that's all. That was all you invested into either that day. I was like, oh, you only worked for like an hour up there. You're like, dude, how do you think those amps got on stage? I carried them up there.
Right?
We did practice like for 58 hours before we knew all these songs. So that was a lot of time.
And then, going to shows takes forever. No sleep.
I'm running on that now.
Exactly.
I was here at 9:30 this morning. I don't go on until 10.
Exactly.
And then I got to get up early and drive to Lansing. We had a show tomorrow in Lansing.
See, that's what I like to hear, because people don't realize that's like you're just going from one to the other, and there's no break, Yeah. And it ain't fun necessarily if you're in a van or a tour bus. They think, ooh, that's cool. No, it kind of sucks a little bit.
My and I've said this before. My favorite thing about touring and playing shows are the memories.
Yes.
Because it's the good times that stick with you. Because the bad times, and if they're wicked bad, a lot of times they turn out to be funny. Like, you're like, dude, you remember that time? And, there's this long story. Because at the time, you're like, mother, this fucking sucks. I'm never fucking doing this shit again. And then 3 months later, you're like, dude, that was hysterical, man.
Right? Totally. So
remember when your guitar got run over and cracked in half? We were laughing our asses off. But at the time, you're like, how the fuck am I going to play the show?
Exactly.
I got no guitar.
No doubt. So that leads me to one of my favorite questions I normally ask artists. I didn't even ask you yet, but since you brought it up, one story, good or bad, what's the one that really sticks in your mind?
Just give me a second here. Let me think.
I know. That's why I love asking that question, because it's so hard for artists to pick which one. There's so many.
Well, I'd have to say the one that I'm thinking of now. We had a European tour. This is a few years ago, and it was our first and so far our only nightliner tour. So we had a couple of bands on there, including us, and it slept 22 people or whatever. We had 2 lounges, 2 PlayStations. There's a bathroom, there's a little kitchenette. You can sleep whenever you want. Somebody's driving. You get in the van or you get in the bus. You drink, you play PlayStation, you fall asleep, and you wake up. You're in the next town. Like, super easy. And then after I want to say it was the second or third show, one of the guys in the band decided to jump a fence. He broke his leg, and we had to fly him home. This is the funny thing. This is like I was just unbelievably pissed, and he tried to. I think he played one show, maybe two shows, sitting in a chair, because. And I always go back to there's Paul Bailoff did that when Exodus kind of came, he rejoined or something like that, and they did a small tour, and I want to say this was like it was in the 90s, and he broke his leg, so he did some shows where he's singing, but he's up there, and so I was like, if we got to do it, we got to do it, but it turned out his leg was in such bad shape that he had to be flown home and have surgery immediately, and he's still got pins and stuff in his. But the best setup, like you're talking about, the easiest thing you could do. You don't have to drive. We had a merch person, TM, all this stuff. All we had to do really was play music, and it ended. Like we finished the tour, we figured it out, but for him to break it, and I was like, oh my God, that's the bad tour. Yeah, that's the bad, one of the bad.
Shit like that happens all the time. I saw at a festival Vincent Price of Body Count jump off the stage and break his leg while he was playing the guitar, and he was laying on the ground still playing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and there's the thing is that's one negative one, but then there's dozens of other great ones. One I'll just share. We ended up we had a tour of South America, and we were doing it on our own, so it wasn't like through a big company or anything. It was me and the promoter, and we started off the tour. It was like 10 dates, and we're like, okay, that's good. It's going to be a lot of flying, but we're going to do it. And then it was like a couple of places canceled. Got down to like say 7. We're like, wow, we're still going to do this. And then tickets are bought. The time frame and everything. And then it was just like we got on the plane. Right before we got on the plane, it was like we're down to 4 shows, but we're going to be there for 2 weeks or 2 weekends, really. And I'm like, well, tickets are money spent. Like, we're coming anyway. We ended up playing 2 shows. We played Saturday. We had a whole week off and another Saturday show, and so a total bust. He was, I don't want to say devastated financially, but he took a big hit. But what he ended up doing for us the week that we had like technically nothing to do, he rented this awesome house like way up in the hills of Columbia, and we had our own pool, we had a water slide, we had half a soccer field, and the whole week we were there, we just hung out, drank beer, walked around the town. Most of these people I don't think ever saw like white people. They were like little kids, like we're just so surprised they're coming out of school, and they're like big white guy, and it was awesome. So he treated us great, and then on top of that, he ended up renting a studio for half a day, and we went back into town because this was like 7-8 hours up in the mountains. We came back into town. He rented the studio. We wrote 2 songs.
Nice.
We ended up playing a show with Witch Trap. At the Witch Trap show, one of the guys, Hugo, and myself, we were talking. We're like, hey, we just recorded a couple of songs. He's like, let's do a split. And I was like, all right. So they recorded a couple of songs, and it ended up coming out in Nunslaughter Witch Trap split. And so that guy, he went beyond what I would have expected somebody, because he was already financially fucked. But he rented this beautiful house and a studio for us and everything. So we got treated. Oh, I know how fortunate we were, because I've heard some other difficult stories from other bands that they weren't as lucky.
Yes.
But those are the 2 sides of the coin. So sometimes your band member breaks their leg, and sometimes you get to hang out in a house drinking beer in Columbia.
There you go. Yeah. And now here you are, Milwaukee Metal Fest.
Milwaukee Metal Fest, and absolutely.
Can't wait for your set, and thanks a lot for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Thank you very much, man. I hope you stick around to see us.
I will definitely stick around.
Cool.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.